This is 9 years. So congratulations. We have a certificate, and we'd like to recognize you this evening.
I just want to thank the district for the support that it's given me over the years, and just particularly in this honor. This doesn't just happen. It happens because the district and the school community are really supportive of professional development and very forward thinking about technology too. At the conference I was at in Washington, there were about 6,000 language teachers there, and yeah, 6,000 language nerds in one room at one time. It's kind of amazing. But when I was telling them about the things that we're doing in our district, they're jealous. So we're the cool kids, and I'm happy to be part of that. So thank you. So. Alrighty.
All right, now the next group of recognition, we recognized some of the fall sports earlier this year, but this team was busy competing at states. We had to wait until the state results happened. So this evening we are recognizing the 2019 WIA state meet state qualifiers and the girls swim team. So this season, the girls swim team had many accomplishments, leading them up to a 6th place overall finish at the WIAA state meet. At the beginning of the season, the girls took home a 1st place victory at the Woodland Conference Relays meet, and it was the first championship at that meet in over 10 years. At that meet, they broke 2 meet records. Following that, the girls swam to a 1st place victory at the Watertown Invitational, and then later at the Watertown Invite, the girls won the Woodland Conference meet for the first time in over 10 years. And at the conference meet, the girls tied for 2nd at the WIA sectional meeting, and which allowed qualifying 5 individuals at the state and 2 relay teams. So at state, we had Jocelyn, who competed in the 200 free 7th place finish and the 500 free 2nd place finish, breaking 10-year records. Is that at Greendale Records or?
10-year-old Greendale record.
10-year-old. Congratulations. Kate competed in the 200 IM, where she took 15th place, and the 500 free, where she took 8th place. Ashley competed in the 200 and 400 free relay. Katerina competed in the 200 and 400 free relay. Hannah competed in the 50 free and the 200 free relay. And Izzy and Emma were both alternates at the competition. So congratulations to the girls' swim team. We invite you to get a certificate and a picture taken.
Jocelyn. Katerina. Ashley.
We can get everybody in the pack, so I can stand. Coach, could you step forward? Beautiful. All right. Are we ready? 2. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Look at me. One more.
Stay in position.
Oh God. Enough. Turner, move your arms. Okay.
Coach, is there anything you want to say?
And
you don't have to.
They're a great group of girls. I'm really thankful that I got to coach them this season. They had a lot of great strides, and I know that they're looking forward to continuing on to the next season and to improving their swimming and reaching higher strides. So I'm thankful to the district and to the athletic department for all of their ongoing support and help through the season and throughout the next athletic season.
Congratulations again. All right, continuing on with the agenda, we're at the point where we welcome any citizen comments. Welcome to anyone who will be speaking this evening. We'd like to remind you that school board meetings are for the purpose of carrying on the business of the district, and they are official business meetings held in public. Through School Board Policy 186, the board allows citizens to make comments by scheduling 2 opportunities on the agenda to receive citizen comments. In accordance with the intent of the open meetings laws, please be aware that although the Board of Education welcomes comments from the public, it cannot discuss or debate items brought up during public comments. And in order to hear from all citizens who wish to speak and to ensure that the official business of the district is addressed, board policy sets a time limit for citizen comments, and we will be adhering to that policy at this night's meeting. Persons wishing to address the board are asked to come to the podium and state their name and address of record. Comments are limited to 1 time, and individuals will be speaking are limited to 3 minutes or 5 minutes if representing a group of persons. Citizen comments are limited to a period not to exceed 30 minutes. Thank you.
Hey, Rick.
Just give her.
Thank you.
Check. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Laura Miller, 5234 Lakeside Drive. I'm here speaking on behalf of Page, parents advocating for Greendale equity. We are happy with the steps that the district has taken in order to become more welcoming, diverse, anti-biased, and anti-racist. But we have suggestions in order to ensure that this is more likely to happen. We need the school board to conduct a full search for our new school superintendent. This must be done in order to ensure that our final choice and the process is legitimate. If less is done, then we are in danger of remaining true to our stereotype as a good old boys club. For the sake of democracy and choice, the search for a new school superintendent needs to be open to all qualified candidates. Next, you as the school board need to create in the next upcoming budget the funds necessary to hire a director of equity. We desperately need this position created and filled to oversee and guide the district so we implement our changes correctly. The district has a long history of bias, and this is not easily overcome. We need help with this, and we need it as soon as possible. Now is the time to start thinking of how this will be done. This will be the single most important action you can do as a board to help our district become less racist, more culturally competent, and combat institutionalized racism. The work we are all doing is never ending, uncomfortable, and difficult. The rewards for making Greendale a welcoming community for all, a true paradise, is worth every effort. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Any other comments this evening? All right, seeing none, we will continue on with the agenda. Next item on the agenda is approval of minutes.
I move approval of the regular meeting minutes of December 2nd as outlined in agenda item 1.1 and the closed session meeting minutes from December 2nd, also in agenda item 1.2.
I second.
There's been a motion and a second to approve the regular meeting minutes and the closed session meeting minutes of December 2nd, 2019. Any further discussion? Then I call for a roll call vote,
Yes.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
and I am yes, motion carries. Continuing on, next on the agenda is our monthly financial reports.
So information was provided for the month of November in terms of revenues and expenditures to date. Through the month of November, we were at 7.52% of revenues. That puts us in line with prior years and makes sense in terms of the time of year. Our first large state aid payment is in the month of December, and then we begin getting property tax payments in January. So this is basically the lowest point in the year in terms of our cash flow is at the end of November. In terms of expenditures, we were at 28.07% in Fund 10. That's similar to the 18-19 school year.
Any questions?
Before we approve checks and disbursements, we've started a new process where we're now sharing the information with all board members, not just going through the treasurer. So in light of that, we had questions from the board, and I thought I would share some of those questions and the responses that I received from Jonathan today. One of the questions from checks and disbursements was the credit card or the cell phones. There was a cell phone charge for $895, which is all the cell phones for the district. Jonathan included an attachment for a cell phone list, which we will share with the entire board, showing who has the cell phones. They're generally used for regular business and emergencies by staff. And if you have further questions about that, I would direct you towards Jonathan for clarification. Questions regarding some of the credit cards, because you all received a summary of that. There was an oven that was purchased, and the question there was, should that have been purchased with a credit card or rather used as a PO? And Jonathan's response was, it was not required on the purchase, but we could use a check for it. And I think in the future, that's the way we're heading, based on some of the things that we're changing.
Yeah, I think that'll be part of policy discussion.
Yes.
Of updating that to create clarity. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then there was a question about, there was a purchase of work boots for someone. And again, we're going to look at that as part of policy. There is a language in the handbook for slip-resistant footwear that is required by some and is allowed to be reimbursed. Then there was a question on some charges for blinders for students that take tests. We have to look into that a little bit because the question was that purchase already paid for? There was a question about charge to a hotel room in Iowa, and just putting a remark in the section showing that the charge was for the entire band, in this case was for the band, so that it shows that it's not just for one person, but for the entire band. And the question again was, could we use a PO for this? And in this instance, it would not work. There were questions about, there was a question about some food orders that were quite high, and it was because the food was purchased, it's a USDA regulation. The particular vendor makes a version of the particular crust for pizza that has to be used for what they were doing for the project. So I think that covers all the questions. Does anybody have any further questions, or did I miss anything, Jonathan?
Just to clarify that last item, so yes, they're food that's part of the USDA school lunch program, and so they'll order from like a Pizza Hut or Domino's, but they have to use certain ingredients so that they fit within the current USDA guidelines. I think it stood out because the question was, is this something that we're buying like for a school meeting or something, but it was actually related to the program, so you're buying on larger scale.
Just a point of clarification, you mentioned it, the purchase of an oven, so is that going to go through POs in the future? Is that what you're looking at? I know there was a freezer also.
Yes. Yeah, so I addressed that already, and it will go through a PO in the future.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, thank you, Noel. Any other questions? Otherwise, we're noted to approve checks and disbursements for this month.
Yes, I move to approve checks in the amount of $1,050,621.22 and disbursements in the amount of $2,571,000, $571,312.88 for a total of $3,621,934.10 as outlined in Agenda Item 2.2.
I second.
There's been a motion and a second to approve checks and disbursements totaling $3,621,934.10. Any further discussion?
I just want to say that I appreciate the change and the transparency. I think that's a very positive step for the board moving forward.
All right, any other comments? Then I call for a roll call vote,
Yes.
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 and I'm yes, motion carries. Moving on to personnel. So this evening, we are noted in the agenda to approve a number of base wage increases. So under agenda item A, we are noted to approve the support and clerical paraprofessionals for the 2019-2020 school year. Agenda item B, the custodial and professional support staff for the 2019-20 school year. And agenda item C for the administrative staff for the 2019 and 20 school year. Anything that administration wants to highlight? So all of these increases are part of the 2019-2020 budget, so they're all part of the budget. We waited until after the end of October when some of the final budget numbers are known and finalized before presenting this. And then when I look at it, the support, clerical, and paraprofessional staff for 2019-2020, the recommended increase from administration is at a total cost of 2.5% for 2019-20, with an ongoing increased cost of 5% for this group of employees.
Jonathan and I did the costing on that, and we are looking at staying market equitable and making sure that we are paying competitive wages to attract and retain, particularly our support paraprofessional staff. And so looking at providing a larger increase that will be effective January 1. And we will be taking that larger increase action with the anticipation that we will not necessarily raise those rates again in the 2021 school year, but we will look at that after we have our known enrollment and budget numbers next year, if there's a possibility of doing an additional adjustment. But at this point, it's the 2.5% costing for the current year, 5% total cost going forward.
Okay. And then for the custodial and professional support staff, that again is increase at a total of 2.5%, again, which is within the budgeted salary allotment.
And same for administrative staff as well at the 2.5%, which was included in the budget that was approved by the board.
All right, any other questions or comments? Then I'm looking for a motion to approve agenda items 3A, 3B, and 3C.
I move to approve agenda items 3A, B, and C as noted on the agenda.
I second.
There's been a motion and a second to approve agenda item 3.3A to approve the base wage increase for support, clerical, paraprofessional staff. 3B, approve base wage increases for custodial and professional support staff. And 3C, approve base wage increase for administrative staff for the 2019-2020 school year. Any further discussion? Then I call for a roll call vote.
Yes on all three accounts.
Yes, all three.
Yes, all three.
Yes, all three.
And I am yes as well. The motion carries. We will defer agenda item 3D until after our closed session. And then we will continue on with agenda item 4 to talk about approval of the course changes at the Greendale High School. So this is something that we heard from Mr. Lotus at our last board meeting. And we are coming back to approve these tonight so that we can have prepare this for the communication that will go out to students and families in early next year as they register for the 2020-2021 school year. So you have in your agenda item 4 that highlights some of the changes that were discussed at the last board meeting.
Yes, and in previous years, we have budgeted for this within the budget process. But in the interest of transparency, we have provided costs for the addition of each of the classes depending on student enrollments, so that you have a sense of approval of these would have an impact on our budget, which would be approved in the normal budgeting process.
So any other comments or questions?
My only question is kind of a carryover from last week, and just not necessarily around what's going on this year, but as we think about courses in the future, how do we ensure that we're not eliminating opportunities for things that are, I'm thinking about computer science as a good example. So computer science is the fastest growing job in this area, about 4 times that of some of the other ones that are highlighted in here. And so my fear is that if we aren't taking that into consideration as we're looking at this, I don't think that's the only thing we should be taking into consideration, but I do think that that should be something that we do consider is how are the offerings that are in front of our students also helping them see opportunities that are right in front of us here in our local area, in our state, and are there ways that we can connect that more effectively to students to help inspire them and see opportunities that are right in our community. So that's something I think that is really important and I think should be taken into consideration, especially in the high school when they're so close to graduation. I think that being able to taste those things that are in our community and are very lucrative is absolutely critical for them to find some of their passions and things in life. So that was kind of my one takeaway on this. I brought them up last time, but just the computer science piece going away every other year. So what options are there to make sure that students see those as viable career paths for them? And then oceanography, not that I have anything against the ocean and oceanography, but we're also in Wisconsin, so that was the one where I kept thinking that could have been made more sense to be freshwater sciences or something that spun off of oceanography that actually has a lot of local jobs as well.
Definitely appreciate that feedback. On the AP Computer Science, part of the reason for the alternating year is because when we are offering it every year, it gets cut because enrollments are too low. And so by pooling it in an alternating year scenario, we can assure that it gets offered. And so by alternating digital electronics and computer science principles, students can plan for their junior and senior year because those are complementary into that industry. So if we start to see growth in those numbers based on career pathway interest, then we can return to offering them annually.
Okay. And I'm not sure if there's ways that, I understand that we want to make sure that we're not playing favoritism on this, but I think at the same time, helping students see the jobs that we know exist in our community, I think is part of our responsibility. So if that can be a way to help them understand that these, I don't know if that'll change enrollment. It might not change enrollment
Agreed,
at all. I
which
know
we did. The computer science teachers at the high school did some work last summer with the computer science teacher at the middle school to expand the programming opportunities in the middle school curriculum. So you'll be seeing some of that, and that could manifest itself in 2 to 3 years in a changed interest in that pathway.
Makes
But
sense.
given our historical perspective, this is what we're looking for our students to prepare.
Or maybe in the science department, especially the computer science teachers, we have a plan over the next 3 years to solidify 4 offerings, just like the biomedical sciences. And maybe I could include kind of a preview of that in the academic career pathway report.
Perfect. Yeah, appreciate that.
Some good feedback, good comments. Any other comments or questions? All right, and I think, Mr. Lewis, like you said, we do have in March scheduled for the academic and career readiness report. Yep. So whether it's this year or kind of ongoing, taking a look at the career pathways that we're offering and making sure we have a lens or an eye on how does that equate to maybe some of the Bureau of Labor Statistics information that's coming out for careers and potential careers.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Okay. Then I'm looking for a motion to approve the course changes for the Greendale High School for this next school year.
I move approval of the course changes for the high school as outlined in Agenda Item 4.
Is there a second?
Second.
There's been a motion and a second to approve the Greendale High School course changes as outlined in Agenda Item 4. Any further discussion? Then I call for a roll call vote.
I was just going to say too, I am, play the negative side, but I am really excited about the authentic and experiential components coming out of Connect and other things too. So I don't want to only show my negative side on this. There's a lot of really good stuff that's going on too. I just wanted to point that out because I think that is important. So I'm a yes, especially knowing that we're paying attention to this and thinking about this as we move forward.
All right, and we got the yes from you, right? Is that-
Yes.
okay.
Correct.
Yes.
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 And I'm yes, motion carries. All right, we are coming to the end of our agenda in the open session. Any additional comments or questions from visitors this evening?
My name is Joe Russ, 16800 West Shadow Drive, New Berlin, representing 559997 Basswood Street. After a bit of digging with another open records request, it seems that you, the school board, weren't totally honest with the amount that Superintendent Kiltz had been using the credit card for personal use. Example, Fixation in Milwaukee, a bicycle shop, November 23rd, $237. Nordstrom in Wauwatosa, November 23rd, $146.78. Crate and Barrel in Waukesha, November 23rd, $118.43. Savosky Crystal in Wauwatosa on November 26th for $252.91, for a total of $755.19. When I did my request regarding these purchases, I was told they were not for district property and thus there was no record of them. This is interesting because while I heard he paid back that $755 in January of this year, a charge to Xterra Boards, also on November 26th in this time frame, was also on the statement which you said in October he didn't pay back. I guess somehow that one slipped through. You also cannot tell me who attended a meal that showed up on the superintendent's credit card on January 24th for $300 at the Capitol Grill. I understand there may have been staff and board members as they attended a conference in Milwaukee that day, but if they attended and if the district paid for them to attend, there should be a record of that somewhere. Point is, the school board, which is supposed to review credit card usage like the village board does not appear to have been doing their job. Major use of the district credit card for personal use has been going on for almost a year before you took action. As a board, you were negligent in doing your fiduciary responsibility in allowing misappropriation of funds. I'm lining up another open records request, as each open record request I do is like peeling back an onion. So this could go on for another year. How long do you want it to go on? This issue is not going away until you decide to file charges against the former superintendent. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Any additional comments this evening? All right, then we are at the end. We will be going into a closed session as outlined in Agenda Item 6 under Wisconsin State Statute 19.85, subsection 1, subsection C. And we will be coming out of reconvening into open session to take action on Agenda Item 3D under Personnel. So then I am looking for a motion to go into closed session.
I move to set a motion to adjourn for closed session under Wisconsin Statute 19.851C in the principal's conference room, immediately following the meeting for the purpose of considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility, specifically to review the recommendation to terminate a teacher contract.
Is there a second?
I second.
There's been a motion and a second to move into closed session. And as I mentioned, after we are finished with the closed session, we will be reconvening into open session to take action on agenda item 3D. So I call for a roll call vote.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
And I am yes, motion carries. So Julie and Kim, you're going to lead us